Every decision, every action, every choice counts. Every choice that is made in your present moment has an impact on your future. Don't ever forget this. Every time you decide to work on yourself instead of taking the easy road, that is a stronger you in the future. When you decide to eat healthy rather than give in to temptation or feed your body with foods that only do harm. Stronger you in the future. When you decide to rise early and meditate, there's a stronger you, a better you, ready for the future. When you decide to keep going, despite setbacks, stronger, better you in the future. Every decision and every action matters. Every action has a consequence in the future, both ways.
Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I'm Coach Castle, and as promised, I'll be starting this weekly podcast with my co-host, Matt Morton. And I'll let him introduce himself in just a second, but what this is going to be is the Adapt and Overcome podcast, where we talk about all of our many life experiences, overcoming many different adversities, everything from breaking mentally to breaking bones to, there's all kinds of ways to get broken. So we're going to talk about how to adapt and overcome. This will be the first episode. So welcome, Matt. Thanks for joining us. Would you give everybody your stats real quick?
Yeah, sure. I spent 5 years States Marine Corps, where I was a paratrooper, and I'd gone to combat in a couple different countries, and the whole paratrooping and all that kind of thing really wrecked my body. And I earned a couple Purple Hearts. I competed in powerlifting and wrestling while I was in the Marine Corps, and I earned an IFBB Pro card. And I had a lot of haters when I got hurt. And they said, oh, you'll never be able to bodybuild again. You'll never powerlift again. You'll never anything. But last year, I proved them all wrong. I won the natural wheelchair division for the Mr. Olympia, the drug tested and the World Anti-Doping Agency, the same as the Olympic standards. So, I like to feed garbage, so to speak. I like to prove what other people say, oh, you can't. And I found that when people say, oh, you can't, they're just really talking about themselves, because generally they're very unsure of themselves and they're not brave enough to try. I've started my own line, my own clothing division. I wrote a book. I won Mr. Olympia. All because other people said you can't do it. You'll never get to that point anymore.
I got to say, I'm right there with you myself. I try to keep my personal life out of the YouTube channel primarily, but that's what this one's all about. So a little bit myself, just on the length of haters and adapting and overcoming myself. So a lot of you don't know this, but I've actually committed suicide 3 times. I've had many different mental conditions, bipolar, schizophrenic. As far as broken, I've been hit by 8 cars. Not my fault in any case, by the way. I've been in a couple different car accidents as well. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I have quite a few fused vertebrae and issues with my body and things holding me together. And just about every single time something's happened to me, I've been told, with this hand, you guys can't see it probably, but told I'd never use my hand again. I was told at one point I'd never walk again. I was told many things I've been told. So, and as far as the YouTube channel itself, any of you guys who follow me and follow biomechanics and understand biomechanic training, you all know the massive amount of hatred that you get, and you see the massive amount of hatred I get in the comments, simply for trying to educate people with basic biomechanics. But this is what haters do. This is how they exist. And so today we're going to talk about, I guess, using haters to your advantage. So when life gives you lemons, as they say. So haters are actually a truly, in my opinion, anyways, motivating force, as you kind of touched on. Everybody uses it a little bit differently, I guess. How do you use the hatred as a motivating force? How do you use it?
I like to look at it like, okay, when I was young, I was little. I was always one of the littlest people in my class. So I always loved it. mean, in the sixth grade, I made the mistake of wearing white Nikes with blue sweatsuit and got called Smurf, you know. So I was like, oh man, that's awesome. You know, I always kind of took it like, you know, instead of sitting there and getting your heart broken crying about it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So, you know, I always felt I was fighting uphill, you know, kind of thing. So I don't care if I was in judo or, you know, hapkido, taekwondo, any of that martial arts stuff, bodybuilding, powerlifting, it didn't matter. You know, I fought for years, the doctors with my own fused vertebrae stuff and all of my things that are wrong with me. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, this and that. We're going to give you more surgery and this and that. And I was like, dude, I'm just going to go to the gym. You know, when I got out of the Marine Corps, went to SEMO and thought, you know, I have to reteach my body how to do this stuff because I can't close my hand all the way. I can either close it this way or this way. But, you know, I mean, you deal with what you got. And, you know, I deal with PTSD. I've tried to commit suicide. You know, it always breaks my heart when a friend of mine will call from the VA and be like, oh, you remember this guy from group? You know, yep. Well, oh, man, you know, and it's like, dude, I have a great family. I have a wonderful wife. I got wonderful animals. You know, I love my family. And it's like, I see how that kind of stuff revolves family, you know, like throwing the rock into the lake, you know, or the boulder or whatever, and you see the big tidal wave. I've seen what happens with that, and it's just not positive. It
No,
hurts the other people worse than it does you. I mean, that's just my own realization, you know, for myself.
no, I would agree with you 100%. I always say that suicide, and this took me 3 times to learn, but suicide is never a suicide. It's always like a suicide bomber. And the people who are closest to you, they get hurt the most from the collateral damage, and everybody around it gets hurt a little bit more, etc. It's never a good idea. It's never the solution. Um, I don't want to get too much into this, but I mean, there are a lot of reasons people get this way, that they get suicidal. Lots of times, it's just a chemical imbalance. Lots of
No,
times,
that's right.
it's an overwhelming of stress. I would also say that lots of times it is 100% entirely the correct response to certain traumas, but that doesn't mean that you carry on with it. That doesn't mean that you keep it to yourself. I mean, that's what I did every time. I was like, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to keep this to myself. Either it's going to go away or I'll just take care of things quietly and nobody will notice. That was always my flawed thought process, I'll say. But I never
One
truly
of the
got.
bravest,
Go ahead.
sorry, one of the bravest moments I ever had, I was about ready to do a bullet. Then the dogs came in and wanted to play. They brought their toys. They knew something was wrong. So I called the Department of Veterans Affairs, you know, a few hours after I'd calmed down a little bit. I got a hold of my therapist and I was like, look, lady, this is what's going on. And you know what? The bravery isn't in the act of the committing. The bravery is being honest enough to go and ask for help. You know that, I know that. Because a lot of people talk a lot of garbage. I don't care if it's the gym or what's going on with politicking or anything. You know, the real bravery is being honest
Mhm.
and being forthcoming with things, you know.
This is a huge thing that people who experience these kind of mental disorders, like, not always necessarily mental disorder. I mean, could be mental, could be chemical, could be nutrition deficiency. If you're deficient in vitamin D3, for God's sakes, you'll get depressed enough to kill
Oh my
yourself.
gosh, yes.
Could be a lot. I mean, in relation to bodybuilding, I see this all the time. Men and women who take steroids, not understanding the consequences, like not knowing what they do to their
Oh my
hormones,
God, yeah.
how they make them depressed. I've seen them end relationships, abuse their spouse because of steroids. They don't understand how to take precautions against it, the proper dosages. They just think more is better. They don't even research the chemicals. And I've literally seen it destroy families just from taking steroids because you want to get
Oh,
muscle.
you and me both.
It's crazy,
I mean,
craziness.
I was an IFBB pro. I mean, you could look at my friends list. You see, I've got the old school people, Labrada, Mike Christian, Tanya Knight, all those kind of guys. You see them on my friends list, and they don't become friends with people they don't actually know. There's none of this, oh, I'm just going to amass a bunch of friends. I've seen so many people like, okay, I had to quit and retire from natural bodybuilding because I got set down by my whole entire VA team, right? I'm talking endocrinology, spinal cord injury, physiatry, everybody. I mean, if it's a who's who, you know, that's me. I'm that busted. Well, they told me, hey, listen, we're all proud of you for winning the natural Mr. Olympia and this and that. But, you know, you could die of heart disease. You're this and that and the other, right? This whole plethora of things. So I got put on testosterone, and for the hormone therapy and the joint therapy and nerve damage stuff, they give DECA to people like me with the Gulf War syndrome and the nerve damage and this and that. So I did the honorable thing. I said, I'm retiring because I no longer can compete naturally. And, you know, I'm not going to lie about it and then try and, yeah, where's the integrity in that, you know? So anyway, I retired from natural bodybuilding and I got on my medicine as I'm supposed to take it. But I know people that take 600 milligrams of test a week, and they take almost that many in DECA. And, you know, you're only supposed to, if you're on 200 milligrams like I am, you max out at 100 milligrams of DECA a week, right? You take the DECA once a week, and that's supposed to be healing your body. And it is. I feel much better, right? Only a fool goes in and, oh my gosh, I want to look like Nick Walker, the new guy, you know, in the Mr. Olympia or whatever the guy is, right? I don't care. Pick your name. But my challenge to these people is, are you on Muscle and Fitness? Are you in Flex Magazine? I mean, I've been in Iron Man Magazine, you know. I know what that's like, but I've been in the whole Muscle and Fitness and Flex and all that for all my military stuff way back. I know that game. But is my health worth it? No, I could care less. My whole goal and what I've done is to show people you can have the most rotten day and pull yourself out of it, even if you're just doing it to feel better. I could care less if you get a fake tan and do the whole Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior stuff. I don't care. You know, we talked about this with your biomechanics. And I watched many of your videos. I love them because you and I think so much alike. What is the most effective way to push the muscle without abusing your body and making it grow? I don't care if it's stronger, bigger, thicker, whatever. If you're doing it right, it all takes care of itself.
Well, this is one of the things about, let me just take it back to haters, but this is one of the things about biomechanics is you could completely 100%. You could take all my knowledge with the decline chest and the proper movements and everything with cables. You can apply it to yourself. Then you could talk about it and you could start taking and making videos about it, explaining it. People wouldn't bat an eye because you're doing it in a wheelchair. So they're like, oh, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. I talk about it and the amount of hate that I get and the poor people who also follow these exercises in the gym. I get my clients constantly. I get past clients. I get people in the comments constantly emailing me. I don't understand. I can't help anybody. Nobody wants to listen to me. They're doing the craziest shit in the gym. People don't want to listen to me. They keep telling me I'm wrong because I'm skinny or whatever. And I tell them always the same time. Listen, you're just starting the biomechanics. If you're small or you're overweight or whatever, it's fine. You are doing the best thing. You could do that with confidence that you are doing the best thing. Now it's up to you to solidify your knowledge about the biomechanics so then you can argue the case against these people who don't know anything. But what I always say, just to get back to the haters with the biomechanics, is let the haters hate. Their punishment is going to be a destroyed physique, a destroyed body. They're going to quit bodybuilding before you. They're going to look worse than you. They're going to have a broken body in the future. They're going to spend more time in the gym, way more money. I could keep going down the list. Let the haters hate. Let them do the dumb shit. That's fine. Myself, I get y'all don't even want to know how many hate emails and phone calls and ridiculous shit I get from these people. All I do is I take that, I recognize the ignorance for what it is. These are just ad hominem arguments. These aren't, there's not logical arguments. They're you're skinny, you're dumb, you're fat. These are insulting arguments. They're not insulting my physics. They're not insulting my knowledge of anatomy or exercise physiology. They're just insulting my appearance. So I just take the ignorance for what it is, and I then eat it and I digest it. And I say, so since they didn't understand why squats are bad, let me make 3 awesome videos explaining my case. And then I do that. And then you guys get the videos and you can show them to your friends and everybody wins, except for the haters. They just look foolish. And of course, you guys have never seen people commenting on any of my lecture videos why I'm wrong. It's always the videos where I'm just like this, sitting here talking and I don't have the animations and the math in front of me. There's always these kind of videos. So just bear in mind, everybody, haters are just another good source of energy. Really, I mean, I understand it's not nice to read a hateful comment or get a hateful message or an email. I still get that kind of emotional twinge, you get that uncomfortable, like sometimes you might focus on the comment, keep running it around in your head, trying to come to peace with why somebody would say that to you or do that to you. Don't worry about it. It's a fool's game. That's what they are. That's what they do. Take the energy they're giving you, put it into something productive. I was just telling you a funny story. I mean, somebody took my phone number and put it on a posting website, contact this guy to get heat tickets. So I would get my phone flooded with text messages from people trying to buy heat tickets. So I just took it, and everybody who texts me, I just send them the same exact message now, copy and paste. Hello, I'm Coach Castle. This is what I do, blank to blank. And I've already gotten 3 people very interested, and pretty sure a few subscribers to my YouTube channel from it. So it's just an example of taking the haters and just turning them around on themselves and using the energy to your example. Now, in your case, I can only imagine how much you've dealt with this, competing as a natural bodybuilder. How many people accuse you of taking drugs? How many people have so-called called you out,
People that have been to my house and that I've worked out with would always make some ignorant comment like, yeah, man, everybody gets lean right before the show, but how did you maintain that muscle? And how did you, what they're not understanding is I kept my protein higher, and I would sit in the sauna with a waist trainer on. It's not like I could go and do a lot of cardio and this and that and the other. I mean, there's only so many ways you can manipulate your body without going to like one of those sono bello places and getting implants. And that's a whole different story. And now who cares? But there's only so many ways you can manipulate your physique. And, my favorite is, well, you're spot reducing. No, dude, there's no such thing as spot reducing. Well, how did okay, in 3 months, I did one of those Gold's Gym challenges back in 2017, before I even decided to compete again. And I had a 45-inch taped around the navel, and I weighed 186. I hadn't been to the gym in like 3 years, this, that, and the other, but I know what to do. I know how to eat properly. I know what to, that kind of thing. And I'd been coming back to the gym just to get my movements back and this and that for about 5-6 months. That's how I'd gone from 205 and 40%, like 35-40% body fat down to 185. Well, I did the 3-month challenge, and I had a 40-inch chest, a 45-inch gut. I looked like I was Homer Simpson, dude. Like I had my own gravitational pull, like a Peter Griffin kind of deal going on. It was horrible, man. But you know how it goes when you got PTSD and you just don't really care and just whatever. So anyway, I went from right around a 40-inch chest to a 44-inch chest. My gut went from 45 down to 32. My arm went from a 13 back to a 15. And I did nothing but take my multivitamin, whey protein. I took a pre-workout of like aminos and a caffeine pill, right? And then I had some fruit and a protein drink before I went to bed and after workout. That's all I did.
Just
I
real
just
quick,
totally,
just real quick for anybody doubting this, by the way, I'd just like to just clarify this real quick in just a couple sentences. Number one, the laws of thermodynamics don't care. And as long as you are restricting your calories in some form, the weight's going to come off. And number two, he's not saying that he built a shit ton of muscle in this time. He has muscle memory and he's reinflating the muscle cells. That's how this is possible without the aids of steroids and everything else for all you guys in the comments who are going to wonder that. Yes, it's very possible. It's not hard to do. And again, thermodynamics don't particularly care. You just have to be in a calorie deficit and be moving and breathing. Oxygen is necessary for fat oxidation, and I presume you're breathing. So as long as he's breathing, he will be oxidizing fat if he's in a calorie deficit. That's how it works. Now, I meant to tell you this actually, but
I was a pro athlete before, so it's not like
yeah.
Started from scratch and oh my gosh, what do I do? I knew exactly what to do. I just wasn't doing it. You know, and so yes, you're entirely right. Just my body went back to what it wanted to be, you know, and I just quit eating garbage food.
I mean, I'm sure even a lot of that, I mean, without getting too much into details, but I'm sure a huge amount of that was intestinal mass anyways, basically just
oh, sure.
Food waste and such sitting in your intestines. You probably had a good, again, because of your condition, 10 or 15 pounds just sitting in there, you know? And once you start eating clean, all that goes away very rapidly. Plus inflammation, the food choices you were eating, etc. You get the idea.
I upped my magnesium, green tea, and greens right before bed, and I took them with a multivitamin and fish oil, an amino peg multi, and it just it did its own work.
Well, I mean, when it comes to competing, just for anybody who might be interested in competing, by the way, what kind of haters do you deal with when it comes to competing? And I'd like to add, by the way, that it's almost never, ever other bodybuilders. It's never successful people. It's never these people. It's always people who are do nothings, who are the haters. But what kind of hate did you experience? Was there any of it directed at you specifically because of your condition or anything?
A little bit. Oh, I got told that the reason I got to compete was because they felt sorry for gimps. Or you mean bodybuilding is in, you know, for people with wheelchairs? I thought you guys were only track and field in the Paralympics. And you know, it's only the people that played like junior high football and they peaked in junior high, you know, or something like that. The people that can't even get past themselves in a conversation. Yeah, you know, I mean.
Well, these are the same people who literally will just continuously talk about how great they are 20 years ago. You know, that's all they got. It's like, okay, well, that's wonderful. Have you done anything recently? No, well, that's pretty shitty then. You sound like a loser to me.
Well, I always make the joke. You remember that guy that was, or that girl that was making slushies for her uncle at 7-Eleven in high school? Yeah. 25 years later, they're still doing it.
That's where I grew up. Absolutely. Those fucking people are still doing the same shit. I grew up in this crazy, tiny little town in upstate New York. I mean, there was literally more cows than human population. My graduating class was like, I think it was like 60 or 80 people or something. It was tiny little graduating class.
Man, you got me beat.
This is how it is, man. Those
was
people,
like 200. You know, in a little farm town.
All still there doing the same shit. Same, going to the same
stores.
Go
in the military. They went straight back home and they're like, oh, well, I guess I'm going back to Baylor. Hey, I'm like, okay, bro.
Yeah. The lunatics, man. Lunatic. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's not for everybody, I guess, but.
Still play video games and listen to my same Queen and Van Halen I was doing in 1988. But, dude, I've evolved since then. I've gotten college degrees. I've done things.
Well, that's,
I'm just doing it because of familiarity, not because I have to, because I didn't expand.
You know, that's a good one. Let's touch on that real quick, because it's probably a good time for a lot of people to hear this. A lot of people are really, I don't want to say stuck in a rut, but they're stuck in a behavioral pattern. The same job for many years, the same whatever for many years. And here's their thing is, well, this is what I'm known for. And if I stop doing this and I start doing something else, well, nobody's going to like me anymore, or whatever it may be. So, I mean, I don't know how many careers you've been through, but I mean, I've been through two very lucrative, very wedding cake decorating, as well as I was a chef for 16 years and a coach. And by the way, I've always been a busy lunatic, working something like 18 hours a day, every single day. So even when I was a chef, I was still coaching. I was still like everything at the same time. Again, not the best thing to do. I don't recommend it, but you know, you can do it if you don't mind being
You're on
completely
my
burnt
Marine
out for
Corps
years.
timeline.
But yeah, and I remember I would tell people, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a fine dining chef, and blank, blank, blank. Like, wow, that really nice. Yeah, I said, yeah, I'm the chef over there. It's like, I thought you were a coach. I'm like, no, I am a coach. Well, how do you do both? I'm like, I work really hard. What do you do to relax? I don't relax. I study and I read and I do some more studying. And people don't understand that. They don't wrap their heads around it. I'm cool with people not understanding it. Nobody's ever understood it, but I got a lot of shit I want to accomplish. And my whole life, I've had people say, well, you can't do two things at once like that. You can't be an expert at two things. You can't be an expert at three things at the same time. You can't. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? You maybe can't. I fucking absolutely can. You just have to be willing to sacrifice all of your free time. That's all. And your sleep. But people don't want to do that. And they're always very uncomfortable with the idea of switching an aspect of their personality, switching an aspect of their life, switching their job, because they're just afraid they're going to get mocked for it or hated or do badly or whatever it may be. And that's another form of hatred, is that kind of awful peer pressure, people saying you can't be successful, you can't do it, you're not going to be able to because blankety blank. A lot of people stay in those small towns for exactly that reason. Well, I was born here and I'm a farmer and my dad was a farmer and that's all I do. That's a horrible mentality to have. Thank God I never had that. Couldn't wait to leave. But I know a lot of people have that due to fear or whatever. What are your thoughts on that real quick?
Okay. I found with a lot of naysayers, they're not brave enough to try themselves, or they're self-defeatist or something like that. I mean, I don't care if it was judo, taekwondo, wrestling, powerlifting, whatever I did, bodybuilding. I always thought, you know what? I have this plan and I'm going to go mini step by mini step, because it's like climbing the stairs to the arch. There's a bunch of them. You get there one at a time, right? So they didn't build Rome in one day. Neither is changing your physique. Neither is getting a college degree. Neither is whatever you want to do that's an accomplishment, And it just is what it is.
It's one of those things I always say, well, it's the name of my company, Brick by Brick. But I mean, literally, you need to segment whatever you want: a great life, $1 million, a beautiful wife, a new car, whatever you want, whatever your big thing is. You just have to break it down into yearly and then monthly and then daily goals. Get rid of your ego. Make sure the daily goals are manageable. Maybe it's studying half an hour. Maybe it's 30 minutes of cardio. Maybe it's 10 minutes of cardio if you're first starting. Doesn't matter what your starting point is. Get rid of your ego and make sure it's something on your to-do list, which you will actually do and you will check off, because it would be embarrassing if it wasn't. And then get going. And as you're going up those steps and you're laying those bricks, guess what? A lot of people are going to succumb and they're going to say, hey, what are those bricks you're putting there for? Why are you doing that? They don't know you're building a castle. They say, that looks stupid. What? It's in the way. Why are you putting it there? It's none of your business. Don't worry about it. Well, I don't like that brick. Okay, that brick doesn't like you either. You can fuck off now. Well, what about this? This whole wall is in my way. Either go around or shut up. I don't care. This is my castle. Your opinion is not valid here. Go fuck yourself. Do you live my life? Do you pay my bills? Do you know what I know? No? Okay, fuck off. And this is how you have to have that attitude towards haters. You got to tell them, this is my life. This is how I'm doing it. And this is my world. When you come in my world, you play by my rules.
One time, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1993. Franco was doing a powerlifting seminar on Camp Pendleton. Arnold was still filming Last Action Hero when he showed up. So we got to meet the real Arnold, not Hollywood Arnold, not bodybuilder Arnold, but we got to meet Howard Schnitzel, as he likes to call himself now, as kind of the joke where he gets to be himself. And he said, you know how many times I got told, oh, you'll never be an actor, or you're just a big, stupid bodybuilder, or most of you guys gay, that kind of thing. And he's like, I just fed into that. And I was like, then I'm going to break the mold and show him, this Austrian that's bad with English and a thick accent can do more than Hogan's Heroes, And he goes, I love negative energy. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'll fix it. He goes, yeah, I wasn't cut enough to be Frank Zane in 68, but I also didn't have the calves for it, so I cut off all my training pants. So I had to stare at my weak point. Mm-hmm. He goes, I hated it when lazy bastards would say, oh, I don't have enough money for this, or I don't have the time for that, or, just make up your excuse. He goes, if it's fucking important to you, man, you're going to make the time and you're going to make it a priority. And, kind of like when I wrote my book, I thought, what is the one thing I hate about all bodybuilding books? Oh, you only see the finished product. Mm-hmm. You see all the people and they're getting ready for the contest and they got a quick couple snapshots, right? As you see, when I did my exercises in my book, I wasn't in competition shape, right? I was just Matt Morton. And I wanted to show people, hey, you know what? You can look like a normal human being, but a normal human being still doesn't look in shape,
Well, a big thing, don't. I mean, just to touch on that real quick, because this is just, I know you see this everywhere nowadays. It's absolutely crazy to me. But you have these bodybuilders and these fitness influencers, and there's not that many of them. There's a lot of wannabes, but there's not that actually many of them. And the ones who are the big ones, and even the wannabes, guess what? They're only in that shape a couple weeks of the year. And they make tons of videos, they make tons of pictures, and they keep recycling and reusing that garbage. Really. And on top of that, you don't have their genetics. You don't have their money to be taking the drugs that they're taking that they're not telling you they're taking. You don't have that. You don't have it. They're lying to you, and they generally speaking are lying to you. And that's just how it works. The problem is, and I know you know this too, but the problem is good diet advice, good training advice, good advice of any kind is very simple and very repetitive. If you had the top coaches in the world, I mean, my Instagram page is, I try not to keep it boring, but guess what? It's basically the same exercises presented different ways. My nutrition advice is always basically the same across the board. And that's because it's simple, it's basic, it is the most efficient, and why would you do anything else? These people who keep showing you new exercises, new diets, new things, new supplements, they're all selling you garbage.
You read my I had a friend tell me the only thing wrong he thought about my book was the nutrition part wasn't long enough. And I said, look, I condensed it to the absolute most valuable data. And if you just follow that, you're going to have a physique transformation that most people kill for. They're over there using lighting and filters and nonsense. The truth is boring.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you just said.
It's very boring. I'm in the process, I just showed you last time, in the process of making new exercise flashcards for people, real simple ones. Those should be done by the end of the week, everybody, by the way. I'll have them up on my everything. But anyways, the thing is, when I'm making these, they're fairly easy to make because the body positions look identical. So they're not actually that hard to make. Just like with learning the exercises, once you learn how to do the perfect bicep curl, that's it. There's no other learning involved. You know how to do it with cables. You know how to do it with dumbbells. Okay, you're done. Once you learn how to do the perfect tricep extension with dumbbells and with cables, you're done. You can do it upside down, sideways, lying down, underwater. It doesn't matter because you know the perfect exercise, the perfect movement. But the thing is, how exactly am I supposed to every week show you me doing the same exact movement a different way? You can't. It's the same movement. So that's not interesting. It's not showing. If you look at physics books, Do you know how many physics books are on the shelves? Like 6 or 7. If you go to a bookstore, you go to a library, it's like 6 or 7 physics books. Why is that? It's a very well understood domain, which has been simplified into just a couple of books. Look up quantum physics. Well, there's several, like thousands of these, because it's not understood yet. We're still trying to figure that shit out. This is how
The same
it
with
is.
traumatic brain injury, CTE. I mean, until 2007, roughly, the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and the Department of Navy didn't even have a name for it.
Mhm.
You know, they just knew their veterans were messed up. And that was, you know, for 10 years since I'd been out, they're like, we could tell you've got this going on, but we don't know exactly what it is. And then when they put a name to it, they're like, okay, now how is it that you've been out this long, but it affects you this way still?
Mhm.
Versus the roadside bomb went off on the guy 90 days ago. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, so it takes a long time to formulate and study data and put it into something that's a verifiable piece of information.
But even when it comes to diet, though, I mean, there are some like just shotgun things you can say which apply across the board to everybody. Eat more protein. You're not eating enough protein. That applies to just about everybody. I mean, really, eat
Yep.
more protein. You'll be happier, healthier, more full, etc. Eat less carbohydrates. Again, could probably be applied to just about everybody. Eat less processed foods. You know,
But
it's
the
not
sad
hard.
thing, I blame the news for this too. I mean, it's 2022, and today I saw a news article on my local station that said doctors confirm that if you take in 1 gram of protein per body weight, you know, that helps you maintain lean muscle, increases your metabolism and the whole bit. And I'm like, dude, bodybuilders have been doing this since 1960.
You know, I could go on a rant about this for a while, but until it was either 25 or 26, 27 years ago or something, the daily necessary protein for the average American was 45 grams of protein. But this was also based on calculations of Americans who were 5'6" and 135 pounds. And on top of that, it still wasn't an accurate representation, because I would still double or even triple that.
The food pyramid is totally backwards.
No, I know.
BMI charts are
I
written by
made a correct
insurance
one. Yeah.
companies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the people who study, you know, I'm not a successful bodybuilder because people like me. I was a successful bodybuilder because I worked really, really hard. And most of that was study. How is it that my body feels this most correct way mechanically? Not, you know, swinging and, oh my God, look at all this weight. It was like, man, that doesn't do nothing for me. But boy, my shoulders and my lower back hurt. How do I torque my bicep? Oh, this, you know, holy crap. Lean the elbows back a little bit. Oh, Jesus. You know?
Well, you said it yourself, and you just said it again. But I mean, this is the funny thing is, you're not successful because people like you. Guess what? No one who is successful is liked by everybody. And guess what? If you are liked by everybody, you are a little traitorous green goblin who just chameleons into anything that they need to be to make people like them. You don't have an identity. You don't have a purpose. You're not even a human at that point. You're just repeating anything
you don't even know
anybody
who
wants.
you are.
You're not nothing. You're nothing. If you're going to be successful, you're going to deal with all kinds of hate from everybody, especially the people closest to you. And in that case, it's not really hate. They love you and they want what's best for you. I know you've dealt with this just like I am. Oh, you shouldn't be pushing yourself. Don't be walking. Doctor said stay in bed. Blank, blank, blank. You know, you fill in the blanks with everybody saying that garbage to you. And my response was always the same. No, try to stop me. That's always my response. I mean, I should always say, but to be clear, when it was intelligent to do so, because many times the doctors are in fact incorrect, and I do know when they are, generally speaking. I wasn't being an asshole and like jumping out of bed when I shouldn't have been, if that makes sense.
Nobody knows your body better than you and your capabilities better than you.
Exactly. And I mean, I know my shit intimately, and I know when I can get up and move around. And if, by the way, if doctor says you damage this, don't move it, not always the best idea to listen to the doctor. I mean, I'll just put that out there as a caveat without too much information. But many times doctors, and I'm not blaming them for this, They are overworked, especially nowadays. They're not sleeping, which is screwing with their decision-making ability. They have no time to keep up in the current medical literature. I don't blame them for this, but lots of times they just simply don't know, and they're not up to date with the latest data. And that's, again, I'm not blaming them. It's not their fault. I can only imagine how worked they are. It's just one of those things, guys. So just understand that and do your own research on your body. Don't just take a doctor's word for it. Get another doctor's opinion, get a third doctor's opinion. It's not just one size fits all. It's not how it works. But anyways, I think we're getting off topic here, but we should be wrapping it up anyways. I should just say, guys, I hope that you like this new little podcast. We're not sure where we're going to go with this. We have a lot to talk about, lots of discussions about many things. I got a list already of things we want to be doing. We're going to do this podcast once a week, every Monday, maybe special episodes here and there. Whatever you guys want to hear about, put it in the comments below. We'll make sure to get to it. And any of the hate comments, just know we like those too. They help my channel grow. And of course, as I said, I eat that shit up for breakfast and I use the energy. Matt, what do you got to add?
I'm good. I'm glad to be part of this, and hopefully we can get some good information out to people that would not have seen it before.
Absolutely. And we'll be putting this on, Facebook and Instagram, little clips for you guys to follow. I'll be including a bunch of links in the description if you want to support Matt, you want to support my channel, you want to hit up my Etsy store, either of our websites, you want to hit up, the articles, etc. Everything that we do. Guys, just check it out. Again, let us know in the comments. Where would you like us to take this? We are here to help you. Let us know, everybody. So again, have a great day. Stay on your grind. Ignore the haters. And if you can't ignore them, eat it. Use it for fuel. It's just energy, guys. Haters are always those people who are losers, who don't actually have knowledge, and who don't actually accomplish anything. You'll never see successful people hating on other people. You just won't see it. All right. That's it, Matt.
Yep.
All right, guys. See y'all later.